How you guys doing? Hope you are doing great. All right. I just want to welcome you to 2021. So this year we'll be doing quite amazing things. So now you may be there, you may be wondering how to get started with your programming journey. One thing I'll tell you is that you have to be consistent. You see, so throughout this year we are going to be doing some live stream videos where you're going to get a grab of programming basics and you are going to be able to customize, be it your mobile or your web application. So firstly, some research is very important. Before you dive into any programming language, you need to research. So now many people have issues on how to start programming, but the thing I will tell you is programming starts with your mind. You get it? So now, for instance, I will give a brief history about myself. I'll give you a brief history about myself, how I so programming initially was really to have what you want. You see, for instance, if I had to build applications to solve community problems or personal applications or probably client base, the first thing I'll advise you to do is carry out a massive research on the stack that is needed to build a particular application. So now there are various types. So if you're someone that you really love JavaScript, I'll advise you to go with React Native. Now, but there is this talk that many people have issues. They always talk about. They're like, some people are like, there's React Native, there's Java, there's Flutter. Pick one tool and you master. One thing again I would tell you is don't just a master. For instance, beginner and you're watching this video, one thing I'll tell you is, for instance, if you're learning a programming language, if you're learning C programming, I'll advise you to master. You get to the core. Once you get to the core of C programming language, you discover that you learning another language will take you less time because you have the whole structure of that particular programming language. You get it? So now going out to another programming language, probably printing out the function like hello world, it will take you less time because you already have the idea. So programming just has to do with a syntax. So you need to know the syntax of a language, then you dive into it and try working on projects. So now to get started, many people are like they have not done computer science, you have not done physics, you don't know maths, you don't know this and done that. One thing I'll tell you is if you want to learn something, no matter your background, you get it. I know of people that are purely arts inclined, but they are very good programmers. So now there's a mistake that many people do, that they want to learn many things at a time. You may see me, for instance, I'm someone that I can code in any language. I just need some time frame that I study the syntax and the whole code base of it, then I produce based on the specification that you want. So now you may be wondering that how long did it take me to get this far? So one thing I will say is you don't need to be in a hurry, right? You need to take out time. You research, like for instance, it took me like how I say, it took me close to 7 months just to research on the language I wanted to start. Back then I started with PHP programming language. Back then people were like, PHP does not make sense, you don't see the need, but that language helped me to divert to other languages like JavaScript. So throughout this year, I want you to first of all document why you want to learn that programming language. That's the first thing. The advantages of that programming language, what you should be able to do with that programming language. Compare that language with other languages and see the benefits of that language. Like for me currently, I've been working with React.js for some quite a time now, and currently I'm working with Next.js. So now React.js, the knowledge on React.js just gives me a broad overview for Next.js. So you might be wondering, how will I easily adapt to a new language? One thing I'll tell you is all about practice. Consistency matters. And one thing I'll say, while learning programming, you should get a book. you have to document your journey. Like for instance, while learning JavaScript, for instance, while coming across with objects, you discover that while reading, you feel like you know, but when it comes to the time of implementing that, you'll be shocked. That your book that you've used while studying those basics, many people are like, Daniel, why did I take time to go through the basics, printing hello world? There are people that they don't care about the basics, but I strongly believe that those basics are what is needed to be a perfect programmer. So I will advise you to first of all get started with the basics. The basics are very, very, very important. Do not neglect the basics. Okay. So now, if you want to get started with web development, one thing I'll tell you is you can get started with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Don't be in a hurry to learn a framework. A framework will just guide you based on your knowledge you have for the pure code. You get it? For instance, before I started learning React, it's my knowledge on CSS that really helped me React. So now in React now, you just need to know now the way you structure your folder. You know, in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you just link your HTML to your CSS, then you link your JavaScript both externally or internally, depending on how you want things to go. So now you may be wondering that why will I want to learn a framework? The framework just help you for faster development, okay? But now one thing I'll tell you is master the basics. You cannot be a pro if you don't know the basics because they will always disturb you. For instance, I'll give an example. When while learning how to how I say to like an API, like you want to integrate it, for instance, let me say a login, you will discover that you might watch tons and tons of video. Meanwhile, that is just a simple task that someone that is ahead of you will just tell you. So one thing I'll tell you is there's a mistake I did while learning. I was too glued to myself and on my own corner trying to get solutions to my problem. But one thing I'll say is get a mentor. A mentor is someone who has gone through what you are going to experience. So you will not really struggle that much because a mentor will guide you. You will not spend time learning one thing over and over and over again when you have a mentor. The mentor will be like, do this, do this, do this. You just discover and you will get the result in no time. So now a mentor will facilitate things for you, and I bet you a mentor will not always be there to tell you to do this. You have to be someone that is very inquisitive to find out how things go and you implement them. So, for instance, if you want to, let me say, you want to build an e-commerce site, the thing for you to do is, first of all, you have to research on the features of how that e-commerce site operates, how an existing e-commerce site works. So now many clients will be like, they just need, like, they'll tell you that they want their website to be like to sell dresses. So now you have to have a very diverse mind to be able to guide the client and tell him that this is this, this is this, this is this. So they will know that this is what they are venturing into. So you don't need to feel bad for the client because the client never knows what he wants. He just wants you to do what he's thinking. Like for instance, normally you will get started, you'll be like, how do people even earn from web development and getting this thing? I bet you the beginning is never easy. It is never easy because there are times there are issues you normally have that, for instance, while starting, you will know that how I put it, you obviously have data issues, you get it, because you want to do some research and probably you're a student, you will not be able to get that data and learn that particular thing. But one thing I will tell you is those little beginnings is what makes you better. Those little beginnings what makes you better. So one thing I will tell you is never you give up. Never you give up. Have a mindset of always willing to learn. Yeah. Be always willing to learn. No matter what, Never you act as if you know everything, because one thing I'll tell you, no matter the age or the size of the person that is guiding you on what to do, you have to give that person a respect. Like for instance, I for one, I have friends that have more experience than me in the field. One thing you should do is you should always have a learning spirit. A learning spirit is a very very key factor in terms of in the life of a developer. A developer has to be someone who is ready, who is willing to adapt to any situation. For instance, if you cannot know everything, you have to make Google your friend. If you have a project, for instance, you have to implement let me say you have to implement a payment gateway. You don't just tell the person that you cannot do it. One thing with programming and development is you have to believe that you can do it. Why you believe that you can do it, you have to carry out research. Research is a very very vital thing, and testing too is very very vital. So now, how do you go about testing? First of all, you do your test locally and make sure that you have no console error. So it depends on what you want to work on. So you have to take time to study the documentation. So you have to have that open mindset that you can do everything. Then when you get stuck now, you get to your mentor. So that's just how things have to go. So it is very very difficult to have the mindset to say I cannot do it. So now in this 2020, I want you to make this resolution. You might be watching this video and you say programming is very difficult. I tell you, I'm sure you can get to me anytime and I will guide you on how to get started and continue till you become an intermediate, or depending on how you wish to become. So whether it's web development or app development, you can get guidance from there till you get something. So one thing I also say, as a developer, never you be in a rush while learning. Never you be in a rush. You have to take things gradually. So why would I say gradually? There are certain things that you cannot learn overnight. Like for instance, somebody would tell me that you want to be a full stack web developer in 1 month. How do you want to do that? Okay, should I say, maybe I say you follow up a course that is what, maybe let me say 3 months or 52 hours course on Udemy, and you finish that in 1 week. I bet you are not a full stack developer. You have to work on projects. There's one thing with volunteering. Volunteering also helps you to have a broadened mindset on how to approach things. You get it? So now volunteering now opens you up to many opportunities. I'll tell you, me for example, I've done a lot of projects for people that have not been paid for. Let me say that, but they have given me the opportunity to get other projects from people based on the work I've done with them. So one thing I will tell you is, everything you do for someone, do your best, because you may never know who is watching. You may never know who that person is connected to. You may never know where that particular project will land you to. You may never know who is using that project. So I'll advise you that anything you do, do your best, do your very best. Prove to them that you know what you're doing. Because if you don't do that, you will discover that you will lose a lot of opportunities. You get it? So now, this 2022, I want you to put this idea in your mind that, one, you can do everything. Secondly, be willing to learn from anybody, anywhere, and anytime. Three, don't assume that you know. Never you assume that you know. First of all, get it done before saying you know this particular thing. And consistency matters. There was a time I have a friend, Samuel. He's also a developer. Back then, I usually work on projects and I store it in my machine. Like if you come to my machine, you will discover that I have a whole lot of projects that I've worked on. But on that fateful day, he walked to me and he told me that why am I keeping these projects in my machine? That I showcase them. So one thing I'll tell you is learn open source. Open source has given me a lot of opportunities because it makes your tasks easy. You don't have to explain to your maybe your employee or employer that you can do this, but just for the fact that it is hosted probably in a local server or it is online where someone can go and test, the person will be like, no, this person can do this. So one thing I'll tell you is work with open source. Open source helps a lot. For instance, there's GitHub. Learn how to use GitHub. As a developer, GitHub is very essential. One, you can collaborate with other people on GitHub. You can add them and they raised up issues in the project and the issues are solved. So that it makes work easy and splitted. That's why you see in every project there's a project manager. There is someone who is there to review each pull request. So it may be assigned to one task. They might tell you that you, Daniel, work on the login, you work on the sign up page and all the like. So you will discover that working as a team makes you to have a broad mindset. There was a time I was always like I was working alone, but you discover that it is fun at times and you deliver fast. Yeah, you deliver fast and you have no issues, which is good. But now working as a team helps you to explain things better to others, and the more you explain to others, the more you learn. You see, so while you learn, you grow. There is this saying: readers are leaders. And I know you cannot be a reader when you are not a learner. So you have to have that learning spirit and you should be able to get things done. I'll advise you to, as a developer, if you're getting started with your journey to in 2022, you should get this in mind. Don't be in a rush. Document everything you want to learn and actualize it. There's one thing planning to be a front-end developer, and then another thing is actually working towards that. So now you may be wondering, you may be like you plan to code today and you later on did not code. You plan to code the next day and you later on did not code. I'll tell you that it's never easy. It is never ever easy. The journey to 1,000 miles begins with a step. So you must start from somewhere. You cannot just stages. Life is in phases and men are in stages. So you cannot just sit and you expect to be an expert when you don't work. Now I will tell you one thing. A line of code you write a day makes you better rather than writing 1,000 lines of code for one day and waiting for the next 10 years. I don't know if you get it. Okay, for instance, if today I come to my code and I create a function, let me say I call it Daniel with Kame case, then I wait for like 1 week. I come the next day to that code. Will I be able to create that same function? Some people will be like they are smart, but no, that's not the right way to do. You will discover that your journey will be slow, though you're not trying to rush it, but you are trying to do something to improve daily. But if you take it this way, today you come, you create a function, and the next day you pass in parameters to that particular function, you discover that there's a so the growth process is evident. So you will not just be doing things that you want to do, but you do things while documenting, because it's something very, very, very essential. So now, many people are like, what should they do with a notebook? The notebook should be something that you should have it by you every time. Jotting is a very essential aspect of growth. Many people think, when they see, like for instance, when I was learning C programming and I wrote how to print hello world in my notebook, somebody was like, Daniel the programmer, why are you even doing this? You see. But the more you write, the more it sticks. You get it? The more you write, the more it sticks. That's why anytime I'm doing a training for programming, I make sure each and every person has a notebook. A notebook is very essential. I have a lot of notebooks there when I started learning JavaScript, C, and PHP back then. Those notes are what is helping me today. Though I would say I've done a lot of tasks that there are certain things I don't need to refer again, and Google has made things easy with Stack Overflow. So it will be easier for you to get the solution to your problem. So, but notebook is very important, very, very important. So now, if you want to get started with web development, firstly, I'll advise you in this 2022, get started with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Master the basics. That's one thing I always tell people. Master the basics. The basics you master makes you a master even with the advanced. I don't know if you get it. You have to master the basics because the basics are very, very, very essential for growth. Now, when you live with JavaScript, JavaScript is a whole broad subject, very broad. You cannot learn JavaScript in a day and tell me you're a master. You have to work on projects. So I'll be uploading videos 2 times a week minimum on different things you learn as a beginner and different projects you can carry out as a developer throughout this year. So you expect videos. Just don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more. Just click the subscribe button and make sure you like if you like this video. So now we'll be doing live sessions where you can come and ask your questions related to web development, app development, and so on. So we'll have live sessions for mobile app development. We'll have live sessions for web development, JavaScript. We'll have live sessions for Django backend. We'll have live sessions. So there are many things you're going to grab throughout this year. Just subscribe to the channel. So that's how we are going to do this. I will make sure I do my best to give you the best. So we're going to do things beginner friendly. I'll make sure I explain the concepts that is needed for you to get started with your journey, because many people have the ideology that they are too young and they cannot do it because they see other people doing it better. But I'll tell you, a pro has failed more than a master has even tried. You get it? Someone you see that is a pro today, you don't know the number of the number of errors that person has experienced. You might see a website today and you're like, whoa, this guy is really good, it's very good. But you don't know the number of sleepless nights the person has had to get that. Majority of people, like clients for instance, they are focused just on the output, what they see, like the UI, how the UI looks to them. That's when they say this is a good job. But you as a developer, you are focused to what happens behind, the interaction that happens behind. That's what you are focused on. So we are going to go a deep dive into all these things. And if you check our playlist, they are going to be updated. We're going to make more videos. To you who want to do PHP, I will make more videos on that. The JavaScript courses, I'm going to do that. CSS and all the like. You're going to have a great time this year. So I just want to encourage you to never give up, because an error can frustrate you. It can frustrate you and cause you not to eat. That's one thing that is obvious. And with that, you should have that fighting spirit that you can do this. Okay, you can do this and you will do it. Saying you can do this is one thing, actually putting the work to do it is another. So now just keep going and you will get there. One thing I also advise you, don't depend on building sites very fast. Okay, as a beginner, there is a gradual process. You can spend some time maybe designing just your navigation, because there are certain things when you work on, you take you time for you to master. So I will encourage you to do a lot of projects, so you get a full mastery of it. Because development starts with your mindset. Okay, you have to have a very 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 strong mindset to get things done. You don't just sit and want to overlook the way things go. You have to get started from somewhere. Now, GitHub has really helped me to get opportunities to collaborate with other people. So I'll advise you this year 2020 to make sure you join GitHub, which is open source, because that will help you showcase yourself, your talents and everything. So now some people are like, why should they even code? If you don't know why you should code, I will advise you not to code. You get it? So you have to first of all do a research. Research is very very vital. Like for choosing a particular tool you want to work with, is very vital. Don't just follow the trend. Following a trend too is good, because you have to improve on your technological aspects depending on the new technologies, so you get acquainted with it and you know how things operate and how things flow. It's really fun to do that, but one thing I'll get, as I always insist on, is you should master the basics. Once you master the basics and you become an intermediate in something, switching to another thing will be like a day's job. Okay, I don't know, it will be like a day's job. So as a developer who has already mastered something, you can now follow the trend, like adapting. Some people adapt by going to a large code base, then getting understanding on how things are structured, then they dive into it. While others take their time to learn the basics, probably print hello world, write some basic functions, maybe summing to um, writing a program for the power exponential and all the like. Many people go through that phase, but just identify what you want to do, then dive into it. Never be in a hurry. Take your time to get things mastered, and I assure you, once those things are mastered, you will have no problem. So stay tuned to this channel. Thank you for watching this video. If you love it and you want to get notified for more, please like, comment on where journey you want to get started. I will assure you I will get back to you. Be it web development, app development, I will do my best to get back to you. You can drop them in the comment section. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. We'll make sure we drop videos at least 2 times a week throughout this year. So stay tuned. Happy coding. Bye bye. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.